Have you ever felt overwhelmed by emotions you couldn't control? Like anger that bubbles up in traffic, anxiety that keeps you awake at night, or regret that lingers long after a mistake? You're not alone. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to life instead of responding with clarity and strength. But what if I told you there's a way to build an unshakable mind? A mindset that remains calm in chaos, disciplined in temptation, and focused in a world full of distractions. That's what Stoicism offers. Now don't worry, this isn't about becoming emotionless or detached. Stoicism isn't cold, it's clear. It's about learning to master yourself so that life no longer masters you. And in today's video, I'm going to show you 10 powerful Stoic rules that have changed my life and could transform yours. These are not abstract philosophies, they're practical tools tested for over 2,000 years by emperors, warriors, and philosophers. Simple, direct, brutally honest. If you apply even just a few of them, you'll start to feel a shift in how you think, how you act, and how you face every challenge ahead. So stay with me till the end, because the path to becoming your strongest self starts right here. Let's start with something simple, but powerful. Rule number 1, master your mornings. Now, I know what you're thinking, I'm not a morning person. But hear me out. This isn't about waking up at 4 a.m. or grinding like some motivational robot. It's about owning the first hour of your day, because that sets the tone for everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius, yes, the Roman emperor, talked about this in Meditations. There's a part where he's lying in bed, struggling to get up. He says something like, "You were born to lie under warm blankets, or to get up and do the work of a human being." Think about that. He was emperor of the most powerful empire on earth. He could have stayed in bed all day, surrounded by luxury, but instead, he disciplined himself to rise early, reflect, and take action every single day. Why? Because he knew that winning the morning meant winning the day. And when you string together enough good mornings, you win your life. So, how do you actually master your morning in the real world? Let me share 3 things that changed my life. First, journaling. The moment I wake up, I grab a notebook. I write down 3 things. 1, what I have to do today. 2, what I want to become today. 3, a short reflection on yesterday, what went well and what didn't. This takes 5 minutes, but it gives me clarity. It reminds me who I want to be and keeps me accountable. Second, move your body. I don't mean running marathons, just move, stretch, walk, do 10 push-ups. Your body wakes up and your mind follows. This is your way of saying, I'm in control of myself today. Third, focus on one meaningful task. Not emails, not scrolling. Choose one thing, important, not urgent, and start. Even if you only give it 30 minutes, you've already won. Let me give you a real example. Last year, I was stuck in a rut, burnout, brain fog, no motivation. Then I started following this morning routine. It wasn't magic, but day by day, I started showing up better, clearer, calmer, stronger. And now, I protect my mornings like sacred ground. So here's the takeaway. If you want to be more stoic, more centered, more powerful, you don't need to conquer the world. Just conquer your morning. Because if you can win that little battle between your excuses and your purpose, then trust me, the rest of the day will fall in line. Now let's move on to rule 2. And this one might just change how you see the world around you. Rule 2, focus only on what you can control. Here we go. Rule number 2, focus only on what you can control. This one is huge. Seriously, if you only took one thing from this video, let it be this. The Stoics, people like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, constantly reminded themselves of a basic truth. There are things within your control and things outside of it. And suffering usually begins when we mix the two. Now, let's bring this to life with a simple example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You're already late and someone cuts you off. You feel that anger boiling up. Your hands tighten on the wheel. Your mind starts spinning. Why is this guy such a jerk? I hate this city. I'm going to be so behind. But let's pause. What's really under your control in that moment? Not the traffic, not the other driver, not the time you arrive, but you can control your breath. You can control what you tell yourself. You can choose not to feed that spiral of frustration. That's what the Stoics meant. And it's not just about traffic. Think bigger. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control whether you act with integrity. You can't control if a job interview goes your way, but you can control how well you prepare and how gracefully you handle the outcome. You can't control the weather or the economy, but you can control your effort, your discipline, your mindset. Here's a mantra I use when things start to feel out of hand. I don't control the outcome, I control my response. When you really understand that, like deeply understand it, something shifts. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop blaming, complaining, obsessing, and instead you get focused, calm, powerful. Let me share a personal story. A while back, I lost a big opportunity I'd worked hard for. A partnership deal I was excited about fell through. At first, I was angry. I kept replaying everything that went wrong. But then I asked myself, can I change what happened? No. So I turned my focus to what I could do. Learn from it. Improve my next pitch. Stay ready for the next chance. And guess what? A few months later, a better opportunity came. And this time, I was more prepared, more grounded. Because I didn't waste energy fighting the past. So here's your Stoic challenge for this week. Every time you feel stress, frustration, or fear creeping in, stop. Ask yourself one question. Is this within my control? If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, let it go. Because your peace, your power, your progress, they all begin where your control begins. Stay tuned, because Rule 3 will tackle something we all struggle with, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. Rule 3. Don't suffer from imaginary problems. Alright, time for rule number 3. Don't suffer from imaginary problems. This one hits home for so many of us because let's be honest. How many times have you stressed yourself out about something that never even happened? You lie in bed at night thinking, what if I mess up tomorrow? What if they judge me? What if I lose my job, get sick, or fail at this new project? And guess what? Most of the time, those worst-case scenarios never come true. Yet you already paid the emotional price for them in advance. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said it perfectly. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that for a moment. We're not just reacting to life, we're reacting to our own thoughts about life. We're fighting battles in our mind that don't even exist. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine recently told me he was terrified about a big meeting at work. He kept imagining how his boss might criticize him, how his co-workers would roll their eyes, how he'd freeze and forget his words. He'd barely slept the night before. He was a wreck. But when the meeting actually happened, it went fine. His boss gave him helpful feedback. His co-workers were supportive, and he realized he had suffered for days over something that only lasted 20 minutes and wasn't even that bad. Sound familiar? We've all done it. So what can you do about it? Here's a Stoic practice I personally use. It's called returning to the present. When you catch yourself spiraling into fear about the future, ask yourself, is this happening right now? Not could it happen, or what if it happens, but is it happening now in this moment? If the answer is no, then breathe. Come back to what's real. Ground yourself, touch something near you. Feel your breath. Say to yourself, I'm here. I'm safe. Nothing bad is happening right now. This isn't denial, it's discipline. It's refusing to let your imagination hijack your peace. Here's the truth, you can't predict the future. No one can. So don't live in fear of things you can't confirm. Instead, train your mind to stay rooted in the now. If trouble does come, you'll handle it. You'll be stronger, clearer, and more prepared if you're not already exhausted from imaginary battles. So here's your takeaway. When your mind starts spinning with what ifs, pause. Ask yourself, Is this problem real right now, or is it just a thought? Then choose presence over panic, because the future may be uncertain, but this moment is yours to own. And coming up next in Rule 4, we'll explore how Stoics deal with success and failure and why neither one should control you. Rule 4. Treat success and failure the same. Welcome back. Now let's talk about rule number 4. Treat success and failure the same. Sounds strange, right? We live in a world that constantly chases his success and avoids failure at all costs. We're told to celebrate every win and hide every mistake. But the Stoics saw it differently. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, once said, "You are like a rock. Whether someone praises you or blames you, you remain unmoved." He even used a metaphor. A rock thrown in the air doesn't gain anything by going up, and it doesn't lose anything when it falls. It's still the same rock. In other words, you don't become more valuable when you succeed, and you don't become worthless when you fail. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment where you achieved something big, a promotion, a compliment, a win, and felt amazing for a while, only to crash afterward feeling empty or anxious, or the opposite? You failed at something, felt terrible, questioned your worth and wanted to give up? That's because you tied your value to the outcome. But Stoicism teaches you this powerful mindset. You are not the result. You are the process. You are not your wins. You are not your losses. You are the person showing up, trying, learning, and improving, day after day. Let me give you an example. A close friend of mine applied for a dream job. He prepared for months, gave it everything, but didn't get selected. He was crushed. For days he beat himself up. "I'm not good enough. I blew it. What's wrong with me?" I reminded him of this rule, that the rejection didn't define him. His courage to apply, his effort to prepare, his willingness to grow, that is what matters. A few months later, he got a different opportunity, better aligned with his goals, and nailed it. Why? Because he didn't let failure destroy him. He kept moving. Now, on the flip side, when you do succeed, don't let it inflate your ego. Success can be a trap too. If you get addicted to praise, you'll become afraid of criticism. If you rely on winning, you'll collapse when things go wrong. But if you stay grounded, no matter what happens, you'll always have peace. So here's your Stoic mindset shift. When something good happens, enjoy it, but don't cling to it. When something bad happens, feel it, but don't become it. Because who you are is deeper than what happens to you. You are the steady rock in a world full of highs and lows. And in Rule 5, we're going to talk about a practical way to find focus in the middle of that chaos by doing just one thing each day. Stay with me. Rule 5, do just one thing each day. Let's move on to rule number 5, do just one thing each day. This might sound too simple, maybe even unambitious, but trust me, it's more powerful than it seems. We live in a world obsessed with productivity. Every day, there's a never-ending list of things we should do. Emails, tasks, calls, workouts, side projects. And at the end of the day, you feel exhausted and still guilty because you didn't finish it all. Sound familiar? The Stoics had a different approach. They didn't measure the quality of a day by how many boxes you ticked, but by how much intention and presence you brought to what really mattered. So when I say, do just one thing each day, I'm not telling you to be lazy. I'm telling you to be focused. There are two ways to use this rule, depending on where you are in life. The first is for those who feel lost or aimless. Maybe you're in a transition. Maybe you've been procrastinating for weeks. You wake up, and the day just drifts by. For you, the challenge is simple. Choose one meaningful thing to do today. Just one. It could be updating your resume, reading 10 pages of a book, calling a loved one, cleaning your space. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be intentional. The second version of this rule is for those of us who are too busy. You have big goals, a full calendar, a head full of pressure. Your challenge is this. Out of everything you could do today, what's the one thing that really moves you forward? What's that task that, if done, will make the biggest difference? Do that first. Give it your full attention. Then, even if the rest of the day falls apart, you've already won. Let me give you a real example. During a time in my life when I felt overwhelmed with projects, I started my day by asking, what's the one thing that matters most today? Some days it was recording a video. Other days it was calling a friend I'd been avoiding. Sometimes it was just going for a walk to clear my head. That one action gave my day a center, an anchor. It helped me feel progress even in chaos. Here's the Stoic wisdom behind this rule. You don't need to conquer the world every day. You just need to take one clear, purposeful step and then another tomorrow. Over time, those steps compound. They build character, they build confidence, and they carry you further than you thought possible. So your challenge is this. Each morning, ask yourself, if I only got one thing done today, what should it be? Then do it with presence, with integrity, with heart. Because that's how Stoics build great lives, not by doing everything, but by doing the right things, one day at a time. And now let's move on to Rule 6, where we talk about something most people avoid, but Stoics embrace fully, the hard path. Rule 6, don't choose the easy path. We're now at rule number 6, don't choose the easy path. This one might make you a little uncomfortable, but that's the point. Let me start with a question. When you face a difficult task or a challenging decision, do you instinctively look for the shortcut? Most of us do. Why? Because we're wired to avoid discomfort. We want the reward without the struggle, the outcome without the process. But here's the Stoic truth. Anything meaningful in life comes with effort. Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body, and Epictetus reminded us that nothing great is achieved without endurance. The easy path may look smooth at first, but it often leads nowhere. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I had a choice. Stick with a job that felt safe but unfulfilling, or take a risky step into something new, something uncertain, uncomfortable, but meaningful. Everything in me wanted to stay comfortable, but something deeper told me, you need to grow. So, I chose the hard path, and it was messy. I made mistakes, I doubted myself, but I also discovered strength I never knew I had. That decision led me to where I am today, doing work that aligns with who I am. Here's what the Stoics knew. Growth lives on the other side of discomfort. When you avoid struggle, you avoid progress. But when you lean into it, when you embrace the effort, you build character, you build grit, you build resilience. Now, choosing the hard path doesn't mean suffering needlessly. It means choosing the path that demands something of you, the one that stretches you, sharpens you, reveals who you are. Think about it. Want to get in shape? Easy path. Skip workouts, eat what's convenient. Hard path. Show up, train when you don't feel like it, fuel your body right. Want to build a business? Easy path, dream big but never start. Hard path, fail, adapt, work late nights, and keep going. Want to become more stoic? Easy path, watch a few videos, not a long. Hard path, practice, control your emotions, face your fears, live your values. So here's your stoic mindset shift. Don't run from the hard things, run toward them. Because every time you choose effort over ease, you're proving something powerful, that you are not ruled by comfort, that you're becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that is where real freedom begins. Your challenge this week, find one area where you've been choosing the easy way out. Now flip the script, choose the harder path, just once, and see how it feels. It won't be fun, but it will be worth it. And in Rule 7, we'll talk about something deceptively simple. The power of asking, is this really necessary? Stay with me. Rule 7. Ask yourself, is this really necessary? Let's move into rule number 7. Ask yourself, is this really necessary? This one might seem small at first, but it can transform the way you live. We often think the biggest problems in life come from what we don't have, but more often than not, they come from what we don't need and still keep. We fill our days, our minds, even our homes with noise, distractions, and clutter. We chase things that don't matter, say yes to things we regret, and end up overwhelmed, exhausted, and out of alignment. The Stoics had a simple but powerful remedy. Pause and ask, is this necessary? Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you seek tranquility, do less, or rather do what's essential and do it well. This wasn't about being lazy, it was about being clear. He knew that when you eliminate what's unnecessary, you give more attention, energy, and intention to what actually matters. Let me give you an example. A while back, I used to say yes to every meeting, every event, every favor. I thought I was being productive and helpful, but honestly, I was just afraid of missing out or disappointing others. Then one day, I hit a wall. I was burned out, resentful, and not doing anything with real presence. That's when I started using this question like a filter. Is this truly necessary? And it changed everything. Now, before I add something to my schedule, I stop and ask. Before I buy something new, before I react to a comment online, even before I speak, especially when I'm about to say something out of habit or ego. Try it yourself. You'll be surprised how many things you do automatically, not because they serve you, but because you've never questioned them. You scroll for hours. Was that necessary? You get angry at a stranger. Was that necessary? You say yes to that extra commitment. Was that really necessary? The goal here isn't to become rigid or robotic. It's to become more intentional, to align your life with what truly matters to you. The Stoics believe that simplicity leads to strength, that clarity creates power, and that self-awareness begins with asking the right questions. So here's your Stoic challenge. Today and every day this week, when you're about to act, speak, or decide something, pause. Ask yourself, is this necessary? If the answer is yes, do it fully, do it well. If the answer is no, let it go. Because every unnecessary yes is a no to something more meaningful. And in Rule 8, we'll explore a powerful mindset that can turn even the worst situations into your greatest allies. Stay with me, it gets deeper. Rule 8, love your fate. Amor fati, welcome to rule number 8, love your fate, or as the Stoics called it, amor fati. Now, I know, love your fate sounds poetic, maybe even a little idealistic. But this is one of the most powerful and practical ideas in all of Stoicism. Because let's face it, life doesn't always go the way we planned. You didn't get the job, your relationship ended, the project failed, someone disappointed you. Our instinct is to resist, to complain, to ask, why me? But here's the Stoic shift. Instead of fighting fate, we embrace it, not just tolerate it. Love it. Seneca said, a good person dyes events with his own color and turns whatever happens into something good. Marcus Aurelius lived this too. He faced betrayal, illness, war, loss, and still wrote daily reminders to himself to accept and use everything that happened. He believed that life isn't what happens to you, it's what you do with it. Let me give you a personal example. There was a time when a major opportunity I had been working towards suddenly collapsed. I had put months of energy into it, I had expectations, I had a plan, and then gone. I was angry, I was hurt, I wanted to blame someone. But then I remembered amor fati. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, I asked, what can this teach me? What is this making me become? And strangely, things began to shift. I took a different path, a better one. I became more resilient, more creative, more humble, not in spite of that setback, but because of it. That's what amor fati does. It turns pain into power. It transforms resistance into growth. You begin to see life not as an enemy to overcome, but as a teacher to learn from. Every single day. Now let's be clear. Loving your fate doesn't mean you enjoy every moment. It doesn't mean you pretend things are easy. It means you trust that everything, even the hard stuff, is shaping you. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start making meaning from imperfect ones. So here's your Stoic practice. The next time something unexpected happens, big or small, pause and say to yourself, amor fati, this too belongs. Then ask, what's the lesson here? What strength is this developing in me? Because once you start seeing every event as for you, not against you, you stop resisting life and start living it. In Rule 9, we're going to take this one step further by connecting not just with life, but with those who came before us, and discovering a timeless source of wisdom that most people completely overlook. Let's go. Rule 9, speak with the dead. Here we are. Rule number 9, speak with the dead. Sounds a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But I promise, this is not about seances or ghost stories. This is about learning from the greatest minds who ever lived and letting them guide you through life. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, was once told by the oracle, to live a good life you must speak with the dead. What the oracle meant was simple. Read, learn, listen to the wisdom of those who came before you. Because here's the thing, you are not the first person to face fear, failure, heartbreak, pressure, or self-doubt. You're not the first to struggle with uncertainty, loss, or the weight of expectation. And the good news, the people who came before us wrote it all down. Their thoughts, their victories, their mistakes, their advice. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, they all lived through chaos and pain, just like we do today. They just didn't have YouTube. They had scrolls and letters and journals. And those words, they've survived centuries, waiting for you to pick them up. That's what this rule is about, letting ancient wisdom shape your modern life. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I was going through a really difficult season, uncertain about my career, overwhelmed by stress, and disconnected from who I was. Instead of turning to social media for distractions, I turned to a little book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And there, I found words written nearly 2,000 years ago that felt like they were speaking directly to me. One passage said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." I read it again and again until I started to believe it. That moment shifted something in me. It reminded me that no matter how chaotic life feels, someone has walked this path before and left behind a light. We live in a world that's obsessed with the new, the next trend, the next update, the next shortcut. But sometimes the answers you're searching for are waiting in something ancient. A book, a journal, a quote scratched on the page by someone long gone but still alive in spirit. So here's your challenge. Pick up a book from someone who lived before you, a philosopher, a poet, a thinker, a leader. Ask yourself, what were they trying to teach? Let their words become your daily conversation. Because when you speak with the dead, you gain the perspective, clarity, and courage to live better today. And that brings us to our final lesson, Rule 10, where we explore how to hold yourself to the highest standard while still being kind to everyone around you. It's the Stoic way. Let's finish strong. Let's finish strong. Rule 10, be tough on yourself, gentle with others. And here we are, rule number 10, be tough on yourself, but gentle with others. This one is subtle, but deeply stoic. It's about standards and compassion at the same time. You see, Stoicism is often misunderstood. Some people think it means being cold, emotionless, or harsh. But true Stoics, they held themselves to incredibly high standards, while extending deep patience and kindness to those around them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be strict with yourself, but tolerant with others." And it makes perfect sense. Why? Because you control you, your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, but you don't control other people. So instead of judging them for their mistakes, focus on mastering your own. Here's an example. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. Your first instinct, probably anger. You think, what a jerk. People are so careless. But a Stoic would pause and say, okay, that's out of my control, but how I respond, that's my responsibility. Maybe that person is rushing to the hospital, maybe they're just having a terrible day, or maybe they really are careless, but it's still not your job to punish them. Your job is to remain centered, calm, just. Now on the flip side, this rule isn't about letting yourself off the hook. No, A Stoic pushes themselves, they reflect, they hold themselves accountable. They aim to live with virtue, with wisdom, courage, discipline, and justice every single day. It means asking yourself, did I act with integrity? Could I have been more patient? Did I live today in line with my values? No excuses, no blaming, just honest, daily effort to be better than you were yesterday. Here's the challenge with this rule. It's easy to do the opposite, to be soft on ourselves. It's not my fault, I was tired, I deserve a break, and hard on others. They should have known better. Why are people so difficult? But Stoicism flips that script. Be your own toughest coach and everyone else's calm witness. Let me share a story. A few years ago, I had a coworker who constantly missed deadlines. Old me, I would have gotten annoyed, maybe even passive-aggressive. But then I asked, am I doing everything I can to lead by example? Am I showing up fully, clearly communicating, staying consistent? When I focused on me, things started to shift. And interestingly, so did my coworker. Not because I lectured them, but because I modeled something better. That's the Stoic way. So here's your final challenge. Each day, ask yourself 2 questions. 1, where can I raise my own standard? 2, where can I show more patience toward others? Because when you live with strength on the inside and gentleness on the outside, you don't just become a Stoic. You become someone others naturally want to follow. Thank you for staying through all 10 rules. Let's wrap this up and bring it all together. So there you have it. 10 Stoic rules to help you live with more clarity, strength, and purpose. You don't have to be a philosopher to apply these principles. You don't need a toga or a marble statue. You just need a willingness to pause, reflect, and take small steps each day toward becoming your strongest self. Because Stoicism isn't just something you learn, it's something you live. It's choosing courage over comfort, presence over panic, discipline over distraction, and meaning over noise. Maybe one rule spoke to you more than the others. Maybe you already practiced some of them, or maybe this is all brand new. Either way, I hope something in this video sparked a shift in you. A new question, a deeper thought, or even a quiet sense of inner strength. And if it did, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 10 rules resonated with you the most? Drop it in the comments. I read every one of them. And if this video helped you, even in a small way, consider giving it a like. It lets me know this kind of content matters to you. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. I share videos like this every week, focused on Stoicism, mindset, and living intentionally in a chaotic world. And if you know someone who's been going through a tough time, maybe send them this video. Sometimes one idea, one quiet reminder is all it takes to turn a corner. Thanks again for spending your time with me today. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay grounded, stay strong, and as always, live like a Stoic.